Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking. A warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. Yes, I'm already having my audio drowned out by the cars. That is something that I have received notes about this week, but also nothing I can do right now because this is the second part of the school run the sequel. Because, you know, it's all after school stuff that I deal with nowadays. So, and motorbikes. Cars and bikes. It's like the, 150cc on Mario Kart or something. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, also, episode 360. I've got nothing special for that aside from... There we go. So, anyway, that's, we'll get back to the, situation with the cars and stuff because, that's definitely offset a lot that will happen today. But in general, cars and driving seem to be the MO because as Spanish clubs across this area have started to resume, I have now officially met all of the groups that I was that I'm to be a part of, or to be leading, basically. So, and also one that I wasn't. So yeah, I guess in order, I'll say the first school, the Monday one, actually, was very interesting because when I actually went there, there was somebody who was, because they were like covering, all the admin stuff, making sure that my DBS was in order, all of that, fun shenanigans. In the meantime, the class was like right there, was supposed to be in the library, and they made sure that that there was somebody there with the kids before I was, I guess, released, like the cataclysmic force that I am. I thought this was a diverging path. I guess it isn't. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, there's but yeah, the teacher that was there, I heard him going over like a couple of like random things. Like they said like "me has robado something," or it's like "you stole something from me." It's like, what's that all about? And then I also heard them trying to teach the word tonto, for example, which means silly or dumb or stupid, depending on the context behind it. Which, yeah, means that it was definitely somebody just like, oh yes, let's do some, rude or funny phrases in Google Translate for the kids before the actual teacher shows up, which, thanks for that. But yeah, then the kids immediately forgot the phrases apart from tonto, because I told them a story about that. So this is something that happened on my first day of school in Spain. So bear in mind, I was fresh off the plane at this point. Like, we had arrived the night before, pretty much, because we had our flight got, cancelled, delayed and something like that. So we had to stay until, whatever. But yeah, there are several things that I will always remember about my first day of school in Spain. One of which is how when I wrote my name on the board, and everyone started to try to pronounce it all at once. They're like Cian, and they're just like all mumbling. So I improvised my pronunciación, and that's how I've been referred to as ever since that day, by the Spanish-speaking masses. Aside from that, I also the other memories that I have include such classics as the first actual Spanish class that I had. Well, I remember the word onomatopeyas repeated by the class, and I had no clue what was going on. Aside from that, obviously learning onomatopoeias, I understood that later. But yeah, and randomly, because the song El Chiqui Chiqui was popular, there was there are a bunch of people trying, like, El Chiqui Chiqui, Lo Bailo Yo, and going over the list of, like, different things in the song. It's a whole thing. But the memory that that I told them about was relating to the word tonto, because because one of my classmates, who I was sitting with at lunchtime, just occupy like an empty seat because I didn't, I hadn't, established any like solid friends by that point, because again, literally my first day, and everyone knew each other because it was a small school. This one, I guess it was two kids, but one kid in particular tried to get me to say the phrase "soy tonto," which he said meant I'm good. I'm nice, I'm a good person, whatever, again, depends on the context. But of course, I knew better. I could tell, I might not be able to speak the language as well at that point. I might have only had like 2 months worth of training, never heard the word tonto before. But one thing that I could definitely do is read facial expressions and the smirks of other people around me. So of course, I did not fall for this. So, yeah. I got that. Yeah, that guy particularly. He probably forgot all about that event afterwards. It's like, yes, no, I remember. But oh well. Use his name once for an art project. It evens out. He was a really good artist, so it made sense. But yeah, in any case, that was so I told them that story. We then afterwards, tried to, do a little bit about like animals and stuff. It was, the classics. I was, it's become apparent to me actually that some of these clubs have just started up right now, which I guess makes sense, because they did say that they were trying to arrange for, more local classes, but the most local they got for me was a 45-minute drive. So, give or take traffic and my car's terrible navigation. So maybe like half an hour if you know what you're doing. But either way, there's but now, there's this place which is not too far of a trek. Not really a trek, it's a drive still. And then, the Monday one, which even better. So yeah, that's but I guess according to the receptionist from the Monday school, there was the register that I had, because they checked the register because they wanted to see like which kids they had to collect from their last classes or whatever, and then they just went through and some of the names got crossed out by the receptionist because apparently the register was 2 years out of date. I don't know how they managed that, but I guess because they said that they had to stop doing the Spanish club because there was no one there. It's become increasingly obvious to me that just how thoroughly understaffed the company I work for actually is. I always think to myself, I keep doing this to myself. I always think that, oh yes, the skills that I have, someone else could probably do this. How many bilingual people are there? Probably hundreds of thousands, right? How many want to teach? Probably a good percentage of that. I want to, able to, lead clubs and such. Again, similar amounts. But yeah, considering the amount of teachers that I've had to, cover last minute, including Tuesday, so yesterday, there's definitely a huge demand, but not that much of a supply. So yeah, but in terms of I'll get to the Tuesday situation afterwards, because I guess the other thing is that the other thing is that there's that one of the I don't know if she was like a teacher there or not actually, because she just like came in, told told one kid to behave and, to show me respect before anything had happened, and then left. But then she did say to me, "Oh, I recognize you from, from my drummer club from back in the day. Oh, it's like my daughter is such and such." I was like, "I remember such and such." Some of you might remember her as well, because she went briefly by Bootful Butter before changing her name again as an attempt to, as a connection to me, basically. That was like before Muse and Girl, so most of you would not have known about that. But yeah, that's so yeah, I remember her definitely. As for and there was another person there who also did like my interview from like way back in the day for another teaching position that I didn't end up getting. It was like, "Oh, you remember me from that thing? Oh yes, that thing that I got rejected from. This bodes well." But no one was supervising me because got the background check, so they don't need to. So yeah. But the other thing, going back to the register situation, I got a message from the coordinator from the company saying that saying that next time to make sure to check the register before leaving immediately, because sometimes people will sign up literally the last minute possible. Because apparently one kid got like turned away because of that. I think she thought that I turned someone away because they weren't on my register. To be completely honest, I include the cancelled people, not the cancelled people like in the online sense, the people who've cancelled their membership. And there's also like extra gaps anyway. I don't mind if someone extra shows up. I normally have spares of what I'm doing. If not, they can share. But of course, because the receptionist was the one who collected everyone and was checking the register more thoroughly than the company did, clearly, that never reached them. So there's a chance that maybe they updated the register to remove the other people afterwards. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm going to check that either, on Friday or over the weekend. See what we end up with. Because that would be fun. But yeah, that was Monday. So Tuesday, I get a phone call from the coordinator saying, "Are you busy?" I'm like, "No, I'm not busy. Can you cover for me for a teacher in Crawley?" Now, if you remember, I'm not unfamiliar with Crawley, because if you ever walk on Wednesday, I used to go there all the time. It takes a while to get there. It's not local to me, so that's so that was a distance. And then also my mum recommended that I go and have a cup of tea with my aunt, so I did that as well. So basically that, the entire Tuesday was kind of like offset from what it was intended to be, basically. So yeah, that's I was planning to actually start with the April song or get more ahead on the Fallen Angel stuff, but I can still do that over the weekend. So but yeah, there's but yeah, the Tuesday group actually were pretty decent. They weren't as numerous, but that kind of worked. And also, the coordinator sent me the first class pieces of paper of like numbers and like how are you and such. And I invented a game that actually they seemed to like about like calling numbers. Well, I didn't invent it really. I stole it from my German teacher from Spanish school. Which is interesting. Yes, I had a German teacher at a Spanish school, but that was because we were learning German there. So. Yeah, because what we basically did was, call out a number from like either side, and the person whose number corresponds, they have to go and like grab an item from the middle. I did it with blocks with the Tuesday group, and today I did it with just, my sleeveless coat that my dad found, because, this library was not as well equipped. In fact, one of the kids actually said that pens and pencils were useless in the library. So I don't think I had them. I was like, yeah, no, of course not. But but yeah, the Tuesday library had them for sure. but yeah, was it library? Yeah, it was library as well. Well, yeah, I guess about like I'm always put in libraries now. Even the Thursday one is technically, well, I think it's an extension of the library, really. So I guess that's just where they seem fit to, stuff the new clubs. In the case of the Thursday one, keep them there. Which, is fine as long as I get to, hide all the phonics so that one of them doesn't get distracted. But yeah, I guess let's do that tomorrow, aren't I? I did go back, to that group last week. But yeah, otherwise all groups have started this time. And Tuesday group weren't as confident with either numbers or even writing out things in English. The Wednesday group were around the same age, but had that down. They even showed off the fact that one of them showed off that she knew her left and right extremely well. They even had a preference for right versus left. That is not a I don't believe that is a political endorsement, but more so just the direction itself. But yeah, that's but yeah, the fact is that I said I actually know some grown adults that still get their lefts and rights wrong. And the thing where you do this on either side, and which one forms an L is the way that is left. That technique, they knew it. They learned it in year one. So I don't know what everyone else's excuse is, aside from being Americans potentially. It's always interesting to me because there's, like I said before, there's some things that you cover in one education system and that you just gloss over in another entirely. For example grammar. It's starting to make the rounds a bit more. Again, for the teacher training thing, I had to prove that I knew what those were. But yeah, I remember that even when I was in year 10, that was something that they all struggled with. They all struggled with. It was actually only the British students. Any of the foreign students, they were completely fine with nouns, adjectives, adverbs, verbs, the lot. But which was great considering that those ones were in top set English. So it worked out. It worked out for sure. So but yeah, the teacher was like, "Come on, we need to represent." She wasn't being serious. She's not, an elitist or anything. That's as much as she likes to, say that she's mean and keep her reputation. Apparently, she's now the headmistress there, and people don't like her in that role. So I guess she's pretending exceptionally well. I don't know. But anyway, that's I don't know. Did I mention? Yeah, what did I mention today? Yeah, so I talked about that. The car situation wasn't really that interesting, to be fair. I guess I don't know why I said I was going to come back to that. I ended up having to walk a bit further than I thought because the cars were piled up. I just thought, okay, well, this must be where the school is. It was the wrong one, so yeah, that was it. That was the car story, really. As for everything else, I mean, from the YouTube side of things, the streams, we've had quite a few this time. We got through a lot of the requests, or continuing to cycle through, in the case of Bax MLP, for example, because that's become a point of interest for me particularly. But yeah, now we're sort of after Deltarune, unless AFMAO decides to drop another My Street After Dark episode sometime soon, or Mermaid Tales, I think I'm mostly caught up with all the requests except for My Tiny Human. I'm still on the edge about that one, on the fence about that one, because again, the original creator asked me to stop watching it, but now the creator has resigned, and so a bunch of people are saying, hey, do they fan made season 2? Which I probably will, to be honest, the fan made season 2 one, because it's not made by the same person, so I guess it's not really affiliated. Although now that you mention that, there are some other things that are fan made from Gacha that aren't official sequel material that I really do want to actually get back to. So in that regard, I might actually have more lined up than I thought, because I was going to say, there's feels like freeing up to discover new things, and I have a couple of new series tabbed and everything, but that's really it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to go over in terms of like last time, in terms of like a big thematic concept that brought everything together or anything. So yeah, I guess this is kind of it, really. It's amazing how I can go off on a tirade one week and then summarize like actual real life events in such a short and concise time. But, considering that I'm doing these later now on account of my new schedule, short and concise might be, a little bit preferable. Especially because yesterday I had all the stuff that's happening, and I'm now making up for lost time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and remember where on earth I parked. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And on that note, until next time, hasta luego.